Have you recently moved to Canada and are trying to establish yourself in a new country? Are you looking for a job to start gaining some experience and ensure financial stability? Welcome to my channel. My name is Ksenia and I help new immigrants in Canada to navigate in the new environment, to settle down, and to start calling this country their home. In this video, I will share 3 bulletproof job search strategies that help me get an offer every single time. Stick till the end of this video and I will share some very helpful free resources to help you apply these strategies yourself. First, let me remind you how I got to Canada. It was 2013 and I was accepted to Concordia University in Montreal. So I came as an international student with a study permit and I was paying outrageous tuition fees. So I needed to find a job to help me pay for at least some living expenses. As you can imagine, I had no Canadian experience or no experience at all for that matter. And on top of that, Montreal is a city in Quebec, and in Quebec, the official language is French. Unfortunately, when I came to Canada, I spoke absolutely zero French. Luckily, Montreal itself is a bilingual city, and a lot of people here speak fluent English and French. And even though the government kind of imposes French to be the official language and forces places to operate in French, there are still some neighborhoods in Montreal that are primarily Anglophone. So I aim to look for a job in those areas. I couldn't afford spending any money or time for that matter on French courses. So I kind of learned it by myself using some free resources at the university. And I put together some very basic resume, and I just started to look for a job. As a student with no experience, what kind of a job can you hope for? Well, obviously customer service. So I printed my resume and I brought it to a shopping mall and I just handed it in everywhere I could. Obviously, I wanted to work in a cool place, something like a clothing store or maybe a makeup store. But in those kind of places, you need to interact with the client more. Basically, talk about the product, maintain a conversation. And unfortunately, my level of French was not enough. So I'm like, okay, what about a food court? I mean, you don't need a lot of French to offer a portion of fries or serve a drink. So I brought my resume to a food court. And guess what? Eventually, I got a call from a pizzeria. I must confess that this is obviously not the most exciting job, especially that I was paid minimum wage at that point. I think it was $10.50 in 2013. But hey, this was my first ever job in Canada, and I was still just an international student. So the first and a very important strategy is to be proactive. Get out there and take initiative. Don't be shy. What can go wrong? Worst case, they're just going to say no, so you will go somewhere else. For example, you can contact companies yourself. If you don't see any postings online, you can just find contact information. Sometimes you can reach out directly to the HR. But if you can, just contact somebody who works in that company and maybe they will refer you to somebody from the HR. So I worked in that pizzeria for about a year and then I was getting close to the graduation and I honestly didn't know what to do with myself. My French level improved, but it was still not at the level to get a decent job. I was studying psychology at the university and usually during the last year you have to do a thesis. This is basically just a long paper based on scientific research, and usually you get a supervisor to help you write it. So I did a good job and my supervisor really liked me, and it so happened that his colleague from a different university was looking for a research assistant. Basically, the responsibilities would be to review the literature, to collect data, to analyze the data, and just do some basic write-up. Importantly, that person was from Université du Québec à Montréal. It is a French-speaking university. So my supervisor recommended me and somehow convinced his colleague that she should hire me even though I didn't speak fluent French. It kind of makes sense though because most of the research around the world is conducted in English anyway. So this leads me to the second super useful strategy is to find a job by referral. As you're settling down and you're building your network, just ask people periodically if they know of an opening. Some of them may only know you on a personal level, but you know what? A recommendation could go a long way. So I worked as a research assistant while I was finishing my degree. Then after graduation, I applied for permanent residency right away. And you know what? I still didn't know what to do with myself at that point. My plan was to go back to school and to do a master's degree in a different field, but I wanted to get my permanent residency first because I didn't want to pay international tuitions anymore. And that whole time I continued working as a research assistant. Eventually I got into a master's program in marketing, still at Concordia University. And at that point I didn't really need to work anymore because I've got a whole bunch of different scholarships. So as I was getting close to graduation, I was getting kind of nervous because in this case, it was serious and I was entering a very competitive job market, especially that I was competing with fully bilingual Canadians. And here's what happened. Usually in the business school, the university organizes all sorts of different events, and one of them is business case competition. So I participated in one of them with a couple of other students. It was hosted by Bell, the biggest telecommunications company in Canada. And even though we didn't really win anything, it was still a super helpful experience because a couple months later, that same company came to the university and they participated in a job fair. So one of the recruiters there recognized me and they explained to me how to apply for one of the jobs in that company. She took a note of me and I'm pretty sure that that helped me to get a job. But what happened is that I got a job offer before I even graduated and that gave me such a peace of mind. So strategy number 3, network. Make connections as much as possible. It could be at your current place of work, through network events, or maybe through LinkedIn. I hope you found this useful, and if you still need help with applying this strategy, stick around because I have prepared some resources for you. Whether you're contacting employers directly, meeting with them by referral, or using your network, you will need a killer resume. You need to showcase your skills and experience regardless of how extensive they are. And the tool that I really like is the free resume builder by JobBank. JobBank is a website that was created by the government of Canada, so it is legitimate and you should definitely trust it. So JobBank is a one-stop shop for job seekers. It will let you create an account, get access to a huge database of jobs, and even match you with suitable employers. But most importantly, it will help you put together a resume. All you have to do is fill in the blanks. First thing you do is create an account. There are 2 types of accounts with different tools. The only difference is that for the Plus account, you will need to have a social insurance number and your express entry profile number if you immigrated through this program. At this point, it doesn't matter which account you use, both will allow you to build a resume. All you have to do is open the link I left in the description, choose the option that is most applicable to you, and start building. Stay tuned for future videos. I will show you how to use this tool to maximize your skills and experience and build a winning resume. As for networking, I think that the most useful and flexible resource for you would be LinkedIn. You can expand your network by joining different groups in your sector and then participating in the discussion. For example, you can ask questions, leave comments, or just directly connecting with other members. And this is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up so that more people can watch it, and subscribe to my channel to keep track of new videos.